Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. This is going to be a pretty quick video. I just want to go over futures and then we're going to take a look at Bitcoin as well. I've been a little busy with midterms and also just kind of school-related work, hence recording this video at 10:09 p.m. PST, but I figured it would still be useful for everyone, and this could kind of act as your morning or even weekly brief, and hopefully it would provide some information that could be helpful. So we're just going to start with the economic calendar, just to take a look at any important events. The next 7 days, I don't see anything that's particularly going to be market moving, but tomorrow we do have at 1 p.m. PST, we have Bullard speaking. And as you guys know, this is the kind of hawkish guy, and he voted for the 50 basis point hike in March. So I wouldn't be surprised if market's going to react to what he says. He's definitely pushing for them to push the target interest rate well above the neutral rate. So I think he's like seeing 3.5% by the end of the year. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but definitely pay attention to what he's going to say. So that's at 1 p.m. PST. And then we also have IMF World Economic Outlook. I'm not sure how much this is going to move markets, but it could definitely be interesting to see. We're going to see if they're projecting growth or less growth than the year before. And then also going forward, there's a lot of speeches this week. The building permits will also be an interesting one, and housing starts. We can kind of get a little bit of insights into the housing market, but I don't know if that's going to affect the stock market too much. And then just more Federal Reserve speeches. And then April 21st, we do have initial jobless claims. And we do have Jerome Powell speaking. So April 21st, mark your calendars. He's going to be speaking at 8 a.m. PST. And then looks like at 10 a.m. again. And yeah, that kind of concludes the economic events to kind of keep an eye out for this week. Okay, so S&P 500, we're looking at the futures. It does look kind of bleak. Remember, we talked about how there was the head and shoulders that formed on a weekly chart. Well, we broke through the neckline, and then we obviously had that massive green candle. And there was talk about last week kind of being a bull flag, and we would hold this weekly 50 SMA, but we did not. And right now, futures are looking even more red. So I think kind of how I'm eyeing this right now is like, okay, we know our defined bottom is going to be right around, 41.36, roughly 41, or about 4,100. So we have quite a bit of room to work for or work with. We could just see this be a kind of a drawn out event until May, right? When we get the next, interest rate hike. So I wouldn't be surprised if kind of we just trade sideways within a range. And we do have a pretty clear range right now. I mean, we have our low of about 4,100 and we have our high of roughly about 4,600. So 4,100, 4,600, that's kind of going to be your range on the futures. Ideally, bulls, you'd want to see sideways movement and you want to see a retest of this weekly 50 SMA. Ideally, we want to be able to hold it. But if I am looking to go short on this market, then that would also be the level for bears to buy at. So you'd want to buy right around this level around 4,400. And you could ideally just use these previous lows as your price targets. But yeah, I mean, even if we look at the daily chart, we had this channel kind of forming and we broke below it. I'll go ahead and extend the channel so you guys can all see this a little more clearly. We are testing the bottom of this channel. So right now, I don't really have enough confidence in the bulls to say, okay, this is this is an opportunity for me to go long right here. I don't know if I have that confidence. In individual names, of course, and I'll just tell you guys right now, individual names I'm just kind of buying and dollar cost averaging into are the hyper growth ones that I think are going to be able to withstand a recessionary environment the best. So Amazon, Google, Square, or I guess it's known as Block now, Tesla, and then other picks like Coinbase or Silvergate Capital, maybe even Dutch Bros. Those are kind of names that I really, really like. But yeah, I mean, the daily is kind of showing a similar thing. this is kind of what I would look out for right here. We had this kind of trend line where we were making consistent higher lows on the RSI, but right now we are actually testing this low. So if we break below this, then I would be a little concerned, and I think definitely bears are going to be in complete control. We've gone beyond a 50% retracement at this point from our previous high. We're actually, in fact, I take that back. We're right at a 50% retracement. So anything below this is going to be pretty notable. Definitely keep an eye out for that. If we are able to close below this 50% retracement, I think that bears are going to have full control, and I wouldn't be surprised if we test 4,200, even 4,100 again. But if bulls can kind of get us back to 38.2%, I think we would be in a slightly better position, and we can just kind of push that sideways movement. And then I also just want to say I'm actually recording in my university's lounge, so I do apologize if there's noise. I'll do my best to edit it out. All right, so we're going to also look at NASDAQ 100 futures. And get rid of the auto fib really quickly. Okay, so this was pretty textbook. I mean, we made that low, broke above, and then we tested this daily 200 SMA, but we were unable to hold. And we made, essentially, I mean, we made a one, two, you could argue we made like a quadruple top right here. And you know, some of us are thinking, oh, maybe this could be a bull flag, especially with that one green candle on April 4th, and then just a complete rejection and breakdown. But we're going to look at the weekly chart first. So the weekly, I would argue, looks worse than the S&P 500 futures. And the reason why is because look how much distance we have from that 50 SMA on the weekly. Not only that, we have our lower period EMA, we have a 9 EMA on the weekly moving lower, and also this 20 SMA, which if you notice, this 20 SMA has served as a very, very stable level of support all throughout when we were in this upward channel. But, you know, now this is going to be the strong level of resistance. I think that was honestly the good trade. And I definitely missed this, was going short when we retested this weekly 20 SMA. I think that was a good level. But really what I'm watching here is about 13,500. I think that's the level to watch on the NASDAQ 100 futures. If we are able to hold this level, then I think we could get a similar situation where we're going to see bulls and bears kind of develop an equilibrium, and then there'll be that big event that'll, you know, push in either direction. But right now, the bulls are really going to have to prove it, because if we retest this level, we do technically have a higher low, but we could see a break below this 31 on this RSI. I believe the lowest level was about, let's see, it was about 32. Maybe we'll call it about 33 on the weekly. If we break below this weekly RSI of 33, our next RSI level isn't until 28 in terms of support. And with the RSI level of 28, I mean, it's definitely possible for us to retest, you know, 12,900, 12,800. And our next level of support realistically isn't going to be all the way down until about 12,100. Maybe we'll even call 12,000 natural support. But if I go ahead and add the auto fib retracement on the weekly, yeah, you can see if we can't hold 12,937, it's absolute low, then I think we are definitely going to be in for another 700 to 800 point drop, at least till about 12,100 to 12,200, maybe even 12,000 natural support. Let's go ahead and take a look at the daily. So the daily, what we want to see this week is, again, as I mentioned, that sideways movement. We want to see bulls kind of exhaust the bears essentially and hope they can make a strong move. But this week, what I'm eyeing is I want to see bulls at least hold this daily 50 SMA. So at least come back up to 14,200, 14,300. So that's roughly about a 600 point increase. If they could do that, then I would have a little bit more confidence. And then we could look at maybe flipping this 20 SMA from resistance into support and working our way back up to this daily 200 SMA. But that kind of remains to be seen. If we test this level and we're looking pretty weak, our RSI just can't break through, then I would be eyeing puts, and my target would be 12,937 on the NASDAQ 100 futures. This week is definitely going to be interesting. Remember, what I always tell people is just like, don't go in with any sort of expectation, just kind of go over scenarios, because I could go in with a bearish bias or bullish bias, but the market could do something completely different. I think the best example was when the invasion actually happened, and then there was just these giant green candles, and people just got the shorts just got absolutely obliterated. So the market, definitely, to call it unpredictable is an understatement. So just kind of go in with an open mind, be market agnostic, but just kind of know the directionalities and what you could play. But if we are able to somehow claim this daily 50 SMA and hold it, then I would be looking at probably, yeah, I would definitely say about 15,100. Okay, we'll go ahead and take a look at, let's see, we'll go ahead and look at the IWM. This is not a futures chart. This is just the, actual ETF. But really the big thing to watch this week, if I go back to the weekly actually, we closed below the weekly 100 SMA. We came right up to this 9 EMA weekly resistance, and we just could not break it. So from here, the next level of support that I'm seeing is going to be 195.9, but if that can't hold, then we're probably going to be looking at 191 and then 187.92. On the daily, it's not looking so good. I mean, we actually did test this neckline. Remember how I talked about this head and shoulders in a previous video? We did test this neckline and we rejected. And I was mentioning some people could go short there. So congratulations to anyone who did. But what I would be looking at here is, so look, we had this V-shaped recovery and a rejection. Bulls need to hold this weekly or this daily 50 SMA this week. They need to hold between 198 to 200. If they can do that, then I think we can maybe make the case for moving back up to 203 and then 206 and so forth. If they cannot do that, then I definitely think bears have a lot of room to work with, and I think they could see a push back towards at least 190, if not 187. It's kind of difficult to chart the VIX, and I'll do my best, but if we go on a weekly, we have another indecisive doji. So obviously this could go either way. I mean, that's not any new information, and I wouldn't be adding any value if I said, oh, it could go up, it could go down. Sure, I mean, I just say the probabilities, but what I will say about this is keep an eye out for 25.33, because that would be a weekly double top if we fail to break it. If we can break this level, then I would make the case that VIX can at least go back up probably to about 30. If it does, expect a lot more market volatility. I think a VIX going back up to 30 would coincide with new developments in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, or any sort of potential statements by the Fed. But our level of support to watch is definitely going to be 20 to 21, and then if that manages to break, then I think 19 and then 18. But here's what I want to show you all. Go on to the daily chart. Notice how our RSI has been essentially, with the VIX going up, we had our RSI an overall downtrend. And this could technically be seen as bearish, but for the VIX. But what I would really watch for is a break of about 59 on the 59.48 on the RSI. If you can break out of this level, then I definitely think VIX is going to 30. If you reject this level, then I think we're going to go back down and retest 20, between 18 and 20, and just kind of hover in that range. So VIX is just obviously dealing with volatility in the markets, and markets, you can have a high VIX and still have a green day. But really, how I've been kind of trading or using the VIX is when I'm trading SPY. If I see that VIX is going to break out, usually that indicates that SPY will probably see some red. So if I see kind of a bearish pattern on SPY and a bullish pattern on VIX, that's kind of the extra confirmation I have for a trade. That's kind of how I would approach the VIX. And then obviously just heightened volatility. It's just something to kind of be aware of when you're, trading options or want to go long on an option. Ideally, if you're buying options and you want to go long, you want the volatility to kind of be lower because you're paying less of a premium. Okay, so let's go ahead and quickly take a look at Bitcoin. And okay, so I'm gonna start on the weekly again. So we had kind of this pennant essentially. Let me go ahead and draw it out actually. We essentially had this weekly pennant. We rejected. We broke out of the daily pennant right over here. But then the broader pennant right here, we failed to break out of. And a lot of people who are long Bitcoin are, I think, very confused right now because Bitcoin is not acting like an inflationary hedge. And in fact, if you factor in inflation, Bitcoin's performing worse than a lot of assets for the beginning of the year. But, I just tell people it really just depends on their priorities. Look, I'm not trying to flip Bitcoin just for quick cash. I mean, I really believe in it, and I believe in the future of blockchain, and I believe in the future of specific cryptocurrencies that I think are going to really move the world economy and really increase that global GDP. But um, for people who are long Bitcoin, just take this as an opportunity. Take it as an opportunity to stack and buy dollar cost average into it. I mean, that's really all I'll tell you. But again, we are at about 38,900. We did break below this support level. Our RSI did cross on a weekly, and it's still kind of fighting right there. RSI is kind of flatlined, but we are below 50, so I mean that tells us sellers are more in control. But what I will say is Bitcoin loves to move when people least expect it. It loves to move when people are exhausted, they're thinking of selling, and some do sell, and then they just see a massive, green candle, and then they buy back in, and there's that FOMO. So really just identify those support levels and just dollar cost average into it. And what I like to do is, for example, let's say I want to buy Bitcoin. So let me quickly tell you the support levels. So the next support level is going to be around 37,500. Notice you kind of have like a bit of a quintuple bottom right here. So 37,500 is a strong one. But if that breaks, then I think we're probably going to be testing this daily or this weekly 100 SMA. I talked about that in the past. That weekly 100 SMA probably by the time if it would move that low, would probably be around 36,000. So I'd probably set, say I want to buy $1,000 of Bitcoin. I would maybe split that order up into multiple ones. I wouldn't just put $1,000 all in at once. Obviously, if I have long enough time frame, I don't really care. The difference will be kind of marginal. But what you could do, for example, is you could split up that $1,000. You could do $500. You can buy $500 of it at 37,500, and then you could, buy incrementally with the rest of it. Usually, the rule of thumb actually is you would want to buy less when the price is higher and then buy more when the price is lower, obviously. So actually with that $1,000, how I would probably do it is maybe I would do like $400 at 37,500, and then I would do $600 at 36,000. Obviously you do you, but that's just kind of what I would be looking at if I was going to dollar cost average. Let's also go ahead and take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum fell below that $3,000 natural level of support. RSI is not oversold, but it is definitely below 50, so sellers are in control. Just be aware of that. And we have this breakout of this channel, and I wouldn't be surprised if 28,500 is retested again. Well, I've also been kind of doing is kind of using these support, this channels, what we broke out of. We flipped this resistance into support. So potentially you could see test this bottom of this channel or the bottom of this new level of support at the top of the channel. It's a mouthful, let's say, at about 2,500. That would be the next weekly level of support I would be eyeing. If we can break 3,200 and we can hold, and bulls can just kind of push the bears sideways, then we can make the case that we can move back up to 3,500. If we could reclaim 3,500, I think all-time highs are back in the picture. But we need to flip this weekly 50 SMA resistance back into support. We did that before. We actually did that a few weeks ago. But more importantly, we need to be able to hold it, and we need to be able to break 3580. If we can do that, then I think we can make the case that Ethereum is going to go back up to, whatever high it was, 4,800 or something like that. Daily chart broke out of this channel, as I mentioned, but what's interesting is you could probably actually draw another channel, and I'll go ahead and show you that. I feel like my charts get complicated with all the drawings, so I try to keep it simple, but this kind of just shows how subjective technical analysis is and how you can essentially kind of manipulate the charts to show you what you want it to, which is why you have to be very careful and kind of combine it with other forms of analysis so you have a more holistic approach and you can kind of factor out your biases. But let me go ahead and actually color this differently so it's easier for you all to see. Let's see. We'll go ahead and color it green. Okay. You guys can see between these green lines, we also have another channel that's forming. So the low of that channel would be about 2,700, 2,750. That would be a level you could add at 2,750 and then probably around 23.5. And then let's also go ahead and take a look at Solana. So Solana is actually, when we were talking earlier with Ethereum and that top of channel resistance turning into support, Solana is quite literally right at that top of channel resistance that has turned into support. So this could technically be an area you could buy at. But if that level breaks, then I'd be looking at about, let's see, I'd probably be looking at $86 and then $77. The key for Solana is definitely going to be this weekly 50 SMA. If we could break it, then I think we could maybe make the push back to 136, 142. If we could do that, then I think we can make the push back up into the 200s. Again, daily chart, similar situation. We're still testing that daily 50 SMA. Not a whole lot to say here, but just know that Solana. So obviously we know that Bitcoin, if Bitcoin has a 5% move in a day, Ethereum's probably gonna have an 8% move. Solana will probably have a 12% move. So, every time you kind of move on to more risky assets, that's just something you have to kind of be aware of, which can be great for trading. I'll give you a similar example. I mean, I mentioned in a previous video, we traded Aave at like 167, took it up to 260. But Aave is right back at, I think, $163 right now. So in a span of a week, you could have these insane movements where a coin gains like 50% and then gives it all back. So definitely lots of opportunities for everyone. But really, all I'll say and the way I'll finish this video is focus on quality over quantity and, really just pile into your high conviction plays. Because I feel like from personal experience, there's been so many times where I had the opportunity to buy things and I did not because I tried to time the market and then markets go up and then you get that fear and then that turns into FOMO and then you become greedy and then you can actually lose money. So if you have your high conviction plays, this should not concern you at all. You shouldn't be stressed out at all. And if you are stressed about markets and it is kind of giving you a hard time, then maybe you have too much money that you're investing or trading, and maybe you need to scale back a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. You go at your own pace and what's best for your own goals. So I hope this video was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. It's the same name. It's just Stock Explaining. And if you are looking to get into crypto or are looking to get into stocks, definitely check out my link tree in the Instagram bio. I have some referral links so you can get yourself some free crypto with some deposits. And if this content was helpful, I'd really appreciate if you could like it. If you could share the content, that'd be great. And the subscription would be absolutely amazing. But again, no obligation. And I will see you all tomorrow, or hopefully I could get another video out probably middle of the week. Maybe we do like a little midweek update. But definitely check out the Discord as well. I'm always active there. It's free, but if you want access to trade alerts, then it's $30 a month. So you just come out. We have a great community, and it's always better when you can collaborate with others. All right, I'll see you all around. Take care. Bye bye.